The Jim and Terry Show, coming to you from Bob Cajun. A little smoky, things are heating up.
I love summer, man. I love it. But these fires, yeah, I'm finding it a rough time to go for a walk. I find a little heavy on the chest, and I don't even have...
You go for a walk.
I go for a walk.
I'm
go
sorry,
for a walk.
And just call me skeptical. Wait a minute, you already do.
All right, skeptical.
All right. Things that are upsetting in the news. Upsetting. And I'm going to lead off with this one, and maybe the only one that we talk about. The missile attack in Ukraine on Kramatorsk and I'm going to call it a pizzeria. I don't know if that's what it was, but it was an attack.
Restaurant. It was a restaurant.
It was a restaurant. Okay, so...
yeah, and it's just a popular place for people to go and get out and have a piece of pizza during a war. Russian
and it's in
army.
One of the towns in a province that's under or near the front lines?
Near the front. But it's not at the front, but near the front. And sometimes families can come and meet their husbands who are in the war, or vice versa. And so they can go to that city if they have a break, and they can meet their loved ones and talk and have a coffee and such. This restaurant was just basically at the foot of a apartment building, and it was just a popular place to go to get a piece of pizza or whatever it is they served.
Okay, so what do we know about motivation, or is it just random act of war, as in we send a stupid missile, one that is not guided, not
guided,
precision?
Totally guided. It's terrorism.
It is terrorism.
Terrorism at its highest. And it's the Russian way of doing it. Sorry for those who may support not the people I'm saying, but the Russian army. It's their way of doing it. Most of the Russian army generals they're basically just mafia billionaires, and they'll kill everybody for the lacking conscience. And so if they can't win, they'll just kill the people and try to break their spirit.
And you do that by sending a missile attack, directed armament, munition to destroy, kill as many people as you can?
Yeah. They already have blown up a nursery school. So they did that way back in the beginning, and a hospital way back in the beginning. It's just pathetic, and it's just terrorism.
Well, in the beginning, they were saying they didn't have enough precision-guided weapons. So
this is
just
Russia, second most powerful nation.
Stupid bombs and stupid drones to do stupid things.
Yeah, why would they have stupid military stuff?
Well,
just give it a thought.
It's plausible deniability. Like, we're just blowing stuff up because we can. And we don't want to use our good stuff until we need to.
Okay. All right. I buy that.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
So you think this was an intentional act of terrorism?
Absolutely.
Will anyone be held accountable?
Never
for
accidentally falls into the bay, you know what I mean, and blows up nothing. That's never the accident, is it?
No.
It's, oh, crap, we hit your nuclear power plant. Oh, how'd that happen? Whoops, a dam. How did that get in the way?
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So this one is particularly upsetting, but there are a number of rationales. I've seen the Russian side argue that this was a meeting place for NATO. NATO's supposed to not be in Ukraine, but apparently they said NATO was there.
Well, they better hope the hell it wasn't.
Service people.
They better hope the hell it wasn't, because they just declared war on NATO.
Isn't that funny?
So that that's not true.
Yeah, so to justify it by saying, well, there were service members of the Ukrainian armed forces.
They could have been there for sure.
So do you justify it at all? Do you think the people there were pawns in a game? Some people said it's, of course, Ukraine blowing themselves up to justify going to a greater extent.
Oh, that's crazy as well. I'm not saying that kind of thing don't happen. I'm almost concerned that that's what this so-called rebellion just took place in Russia was all just staged. I don't,
to consolidate power in
consolidate
Russia.
Power, to get the people scared, to get them to support. This is, I don't know. To me, it backfired because it looks like it's weak, but I wouldn't be looking the other way, man.
Prigozhin, who led that stunning exit from the war to go north towards Moscow and took over two important armed forces headquarters.
Yes.
And gained control of some significant Russian intel.
And shot down 3 Russian planes.
Including a very specific one that is used as a hub of communications and organization for an assault, like air coordinated, Navy coordinated, land. All that's brutal. So we're talking about a whole bunch of things here. One is the attack itself. Is it a crime? And you're saying yes, it is.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
So will anyone be held accountable? And if so, who is the the USSR? Yeah, right. Is it the Russian military? Is it a Russian general, the head of defense, the head of the armed forces? Who is going to roll into The Hague to be tried for this one?
Well, I guess the tribunal will have to figure that out when this all comes to an end, if it ever does. If you were taking a bunch of bombers over a city, and and that city had military people and tanks in it, and you're just bombing, I can understand how things would be hit. But when you throw one missile and it hits
one place,
and that happens to be a family restaurant, you're a PR.
Yeah.
And if it's just a rogue shot, then this is what you got on the front lines of Russia. You got people that are just shouldn't be there. And as I said, the commanders, I've never seen anything like this in my life. We learn more and more about the way in which the militaries worked in Russia. No wonder in the past they just threw people at, when they with Napoleon and with I believe Germany as well, they just kept pulling back in the winter until the armies attacking froze to death. And I think that's a smart maneuver, by the way. But you don't see Ukraine bombing children's places and hospitals, and they probably have the ability to do that, especially on the neighboring towns. They probably could destroy hospitals. You don't hear any of that, not even from the Russians.
No, the Ukrainian armed forces, as far as I understand the strategy, is just to regain the territory that Russian
and take
unilaterally
out fighters. Take out fighters.
Take out the resistance.
Yeah.
Okay. Where I wanted to go with this was simply the question of the morality of war. Do you see an end in it? The strategy seems to be to strike terror, so it is an act of terrorism.
Well, he's already... I don't know how Putin can get out of anything. You know what I mean? Same as that general. I mean, if that was a real uprising of that general that was marching on to Moscow, he's a dead man. He's going to be dead.
He's not a general. Prigozhin is a warlord. He's got
he's
his own armed
that's
forces.
What I'm saying.
The Wagner Group.
Most of their generals are just
thugs anyway.
They're millionaires, billionaires.
Yeah. So
they are celebrities in Russia. So he was the ultimate bad guy. Remember the butcher of Leningrad or something? I don't know what he is. He's the guy you call to go in where you don't want your company to be your country to be soiled with what they're about to do. Right. So he's not a nice guy. No. You know what I mean?
There are charges of torture and
Well, they showed one, which I'll change the channel every time I can't face it, where they're taking the sledgehammer to the guy's hands. Oh, I can't imagine the pain.
Wasn't that Prigozhin?
That was the guy that was marching on to
Prigozhin.
Yeah.
So it's no morality.
No, just and so I'm surprised at the inefficiency of the Russian army, the lack of training. I think Putin was lied to by his generals about the training, and probably those generals were just pocketing the money, saying we have 50,000 men when they only have 30, and just pocketing the money and becoming rich. I don't know what the problem is up there.
This is going around as kind of like a meme on social media. The Russian army, second best in the world before the war began. The Russian army, second best in Ukraine after the war started.
Yeah.
And then the Russian army, second best in Russia. Yeah. In other words, the Prigozhin and his Wagner Group was actually making far more progress than the Russian military.
Well, my concern is you got Putin. He's either going to be exiled and live in luxury with his billions, or he's going to be killed, or he's going to use incredibly heavy force and annihilate.
I don't think he has any heavy force to use. I think he's marginalized now.
He's got the nuclear bombs. He's got all kinds of dirty bombs, probably.
Oh, you mean Russia does?
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Putin and power and his ability to wield power.
Yeah.
So okay. Some question arose on the internet a discussion about, would you rather have Putin who you know, or somebody post-Putin that you don't know who could be a Prigozhin, the mad killer of whatever it was, the slaughterer of, who do you want after Putin?
Well, that's always the case. It was like that in Iraq too.
Yeah.
You
kick out somebody you think is the worst, and then what comes along is worse still.
Prigozhin is, this guy's a career
murderer.
Mobster. He's a mobster, murderer. He's a mobster, and he worked his way up till he has his own private army, and
doing the dirty
and he's
work.
for hire.
Yeah. And he's active in Syria.
He's gone missing, by the way, they say.
Well,
Do you think that's true?
Don't know what to think. That's beyond the pay grid of the Jim and Terry show to know this kind of stuff. But if you're in the Intel community, feel free to drop us a line in the comments section and tell us, where is Prigozhin? And do you believe that Lukashenko actually negotiated this about face?
No. He's a puppet of Putin. You can't believe anything, unfortunately.
No.
This is the world we're living in.
No.
And if this wasn't somehow planned or something's really going to go out good for Putin, he's dead. That general's dead. Because Putin kills everybody else. Don't forget, what was there? 9 people that drowned and fell out of windows?
Fell out of windows.
So that's what someone said. Don't stand near a window, buddy.
Yeah.
Don't stand near a window. You're going to accidentally fall.
Yeah, accidentally fall. Wow.
9. Just for opposing him. Just for saying, I don't think this is a good idea.
So
Not to march against him.
The question of war crimes was really at the heart of this one. It is a war crime to deliberately target civilians.
Yes.
This is a war crime. The Kramatorsk restaurant missile attack. And if you still believe Russia has anything good left in it, I'm thinking you need to